So today we're going to learn how to do two-step equations. And while they may seem tricky, I mean you have math and suddenly you have letters in your math instead of numbers, they're actually not that bad. The thing you have to keep in mind when you're solving a two-step equation is that you want to get x on its own. So what is x? X is a variable, which basically means that x takes the place of a number, and you're trying to figure out what that number is that makes this equation true. So what would be the first step in trying to get x on its own?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's pretty tricky. So what you do know is you do have two other numbers in the equation that you know. You know you have 4 and you have 6. So the way I think we should think about it is you have 4 red balls on one side and 6 red balls on the other side. So red balls are the same thing, right? They're equal to each other, so one red ball here is the same as having one red ball there. What you can do then is you can subtract 4 red balls from each side, like this. And not ruin the equality of the equation because you did the same thing to both sides. So you didn't change the number on both sides, or you changed it but in the same way. So now what you have then is 2x equals 2. Now, this number in front of the x, it's called the coefficient. And it basically is just a fancy word for something that multiplies the unknown. The other way you could think of it is as a multiplier. So 2x is a multiplier. And what's the opposite of multiplication?
Division.
Exactly. So because you have two things that on both sides of the equation and one of them is being multiplied, what you could do is just divide both sides of the equation by 2, the coefficient of x, to solve for x, which gives you x equals 1. Now to check that the equation is true, you just plug x equals 1 all the way back up here. And what you get is 2 times 1 plus 4 equals 6. Now if you actually do the math, you get 2 plus 4 equals 6, and 2 plus 4 is 6. So you know that this equation is true and this solution is correct. Okay, so now we're going to do a different equation. It's a little bit trickier in a different way because instead of having addition on this side, we have subtraction. But don't let that faze you. So like with the previous step, we can represent the number 4 as 4 red balls. But how do you represent negative 6? You can't have negative balls, right? But since you have negative, what you could do to get 0 is you can add 6. So negative 6 plus 6 gives you 0. That's the equivalent of adding 6 balls to both sides. So if you add 6 balls to 4 balls, you get 10 balls. As a result, you get 5x equals 10.
Oh.
And now that we know that the 5 in front of the x is just a multiplier, how would you proceed?
I remember, divide by 5 on both sides.
Exactly. And you get x equals 2.
Yay!
Now that we've learned how to do two different types of two-step equations, how about you guys try to solve this one? What would be the first step in solving this equation?
Subtract 3 from both sides.
Exactly. So if you do minus 3, you get 3x equals 6. Now what's the next step?
Divide both sides by 3.
Exactly. So if you divide both sides by 3, what do you get?
X equals 2.
Exactly. So now that you know that x equals 2, what do you do to verify this?
Oh, you plug it back in.
Exactly. So 3 times 2 plus 3 equals 9. So it's 6 plus 3 equals 9, which is in fact true.
Try to get x all alone by changing numbers on both sides. Add or subtract the same quantity to preserve equality. Now divide by the multiplier to get a final answer.